Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Glad to be here.
Today we're diving into something I think a lot of our listeners are really curious about.
Yeah.
AI in education.
Right.
Particularly how it's impacting things here in Taiwan.
Absolutely.
And we have some really interesting sources to look at.
Yeah, we do.
We have a couple of YouTube videos with folks from Taiwan talking about AI and education from that perspective.
Yep.
And then we also have a video with Bill Gates and Salman Khan.
Interesting.
And they're talking more about the global impact of AI on education.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good mix.
So I'm excited to see what we find.
Yeah, me too.
So one thing that really stood out to me from watching these videos is that it seems like there's this sense of potential with AI in education.
Absolutely.
You know, Bill Gates and Salman Khan really paint this kind of exciting picture of what it could look like.
Yeah.
You know, they talk about personalized learning and having AI tutors that can adapt to each student's needs.
Right.
And even gamified learning.
Gamified.
Yeah, so you know.
Like video games.
Yeah.
To learn.
Imagine
cool.
Your own personal video game that's designed to teach you math or history or whatever it is you're trying to learn.
It's not just future stuff either.
Yeah.
Like we're seeing some of this in Taiwan already.
Really?
Like Junyi.
Okay.
I think both Ko Wenjia and Zhu Yuanlin mentioned them.
Oh, right.
They're developing these AI virtual assistants.
Wow.
And these could really lay the groundwork for that personalized learning.
So it's actually happening.
It is. It's not just an idea.
That's so cool.
And there's also the Taipei Municipal Digital Learning Center.
Okay.
They're using AI to make their Kuko cloud platform even better.
Wow. I've heard of Kuko Cloud.
Yeah, so students can actually use AI to search for specific concepts within educational videos.
That's amazing. That would save so much time.
Right.
Not just for students, but for teachers, too. So as you hear about all these possibilities, what comes to mind for you?
Honestly,
what are you excited about and what concerns might you have?
I think the potential for deeper engagement is huge.
How so?
Well, if AI can handle those more routine tasks.
Like what?
Like grading multiple choice quizzes or providing those basic explanations, then teachers can focus on the things AI just can't do.
Like what kinds of things?
Things like mentorship, character development, fostering creativity.
Those are important. Exactly. But that makes me wonder about how fast are these changes actually happening in Taiwan?
That's a good question.
I have a feeling it's not as simple as just flipping a switch.
I think Professor Ya Bingcheng's perspective is really important here.
Okay, why?
He argues that Taiwan's education system can be kind of slow to adapt to new technologies.
Why do you think that is?
He mentions a bunch of cultural reasons.
Okay.
And maybe a bit better risk aversion, too.
That makes sense.
He uses the example of online learning.
Right?
It really only took off because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah.
It seems like sometimes a big push is needed.
To make that kind of change.
Right.
That's interesting.
And we can't forget about potential pushback.
What do you mean?
Well, think about it from a teacher's perspective.
Okay.
It must be really daunting to embrace these new methods.
If you don't feel supported by colleagues and parents.
Professor Ya brings up that point, too.
That's interesting.
About resistance from parents and colleagues.
So teachers need to feel confident and equipped.
Yeah, like they have the tools and the support.
To use these new technologies effectively.
Right. And even Bill Gates.
What did he say?
While he's optimistic about AI's potential, he does acknowledge those potential downsides.
That makes sense.
And he emphasizes the need for careful and thoughtful implementation.
Yeah, that's important.
So considering all of that, how do you feel about the pace of AI adoption in Taiwan?
That's a tough one.
Should it be faster?
Or is it better to move cautiously? I think it's a balance.
Yeah.
Rushing into things could lead to problems.
Right.
But falling behind isn't good either.
Sure.
Finding that right pace is going to be key.
I agree.
But even beyond the technology itself, we need to think about the bigger picture.
Yeah, what's the bigger picture?
What kind of learners are we preparing for the future?
That's a great question.
What skills will be valuable in a world that's increasingly shaped by AI?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay, great.
That's a good place to shift gears.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's fascinating to think about, right? We were just talking about how AI could personalize learning for each student and give teachers more time to focus on those creative and human aspects of learning. But now we're considering the possibility that even those technical skills like programming could become as common as using a calculator.
It makes you wonder what will really set learners apart in that kind of future.
That's where that ability to ask the right questions comes in.
Like Huang Rensun and Professor Ye were saying.
Yeah.
It's almost like having a superpower.
It
to
is.
being able to cut through all that information overload and figure out what's actually important.
Right, because in a world where information is so readily available, it's not just about having the answers anymore.
It's about knowing what to ask.
Yeah, what problems are worth solving.
I was just thinking, it's like AI can maybe write a pretty decent essay these days, but can it come up with that original research question that inspired the whole thing in the first place?
Right. Can it identify what knowledge is missing and needs to be filled in?
That's where human curiosity and critical thinking are still crucial.
Totally. It reminds me of how AI can create art now that's pretty much indistinguishable from human art.
Wow.
But the AI still needs a human to tell it what to create.
To give it directions.
Right. What emotions should it evoke? What story should it tell?
It's amazing how similar that is to what we're talking about with education.
Yeah, it really highlights how human and artificial intelligence can work together.
AI is a powerful tool.
Definitely.
But it's the human mind that gives it that direction, the purpose, the spark.
So how can we nurture those uniquely human skills in our kids and in ourselves?
Well, Professor Ya had some advice for parents and educators.
Oh, yeah. What did he say?
He recommended that they familiarize themselves with the AI tools that kids are using these days.
So not necessarily become tech experts overnight.
Right. It's more about understanding how this technology is shaping young minds.
It's about being involved in this AI-powered world, not just watching from the sidelines.
I like that.
Picture this. A parent sits down with their kid who's playing some game with AI.
Yeah.
But they don't just watch. They play along with them.
Okay.
Ask questions about how the AI works.
Cool.
It becomes a shared learning experience.
That's a great point.
It's about bridging that generational gap and exploring together.
And it's not just about keeping up with the tech itself.
Right.
But about understanding its potential and what it all means.
Absolutely, and that reminds me of what Zhu Yuanlin said about the need for a national AI education strategy here in Taiwan.
Oh, right. He talked about that.
He stressed how important it is for the government, NGOs, industry leaders, educators, and families to all work together.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
It's a reminder that this isn't just a challenge for individuals to figure out.
It's something we need to tackle collectively.
Exactly.
It sounds like a huge undertaking, but also really exciting.
Imagine the learning environments we could create if we all collaborate and harness AI's power without losing sight of the human element that makes education so transformative.
It's a really compelling vision.
It is.
But we also need to remember the importance of strong leadership in all of this.
Like Ko Wenjie said.
Yeah, he pointed out that we need leaders who are willing to face those tough challenges head on.
And who champion innovation.
Right, and who understand just how powerful AI can be in education.
That goes beyond just politicians, though, right?
Yeah, we need that kind of leadership in our schools, our communities, even our homes.
Absolutely. We need leaders who can inspire confidence and articulate a clear vision for what learning should look like in the future.
Leaders who are willing to make bold choices so that everyone has a chance to thrive in this AI-powered world.
But leadership isn't just about people in positions of authority.
What else is it about?
It's also about each of us taking charge of our own learning journey.
I love that.
Embracing new possibilities and speaking up for the kind of education we want for ourselves and for future generations.
It's about realizing that we all have a role to play.
Yeah. The future of AI in education isn't some fixed destiny.
It's something we're actively creating together.
So as we continue this deep dive, we want to hear from you, the listener.
What are your thoughts so far?
What really stands out to you? What sparks your curiosity or leaves you with questions?
We'll pause here for a moment so you can reflect on those questions before we move on to our final thoughts. It's pretty amazing to think about everything we've uncovered in this deep dive.
Yeah, a lot to take in.
We started by picturing AI tutors and personalized learning.
But then we got into these real-world challenges and the need for strong leadership.
It really shows how this conversation about AI in education is happening everywhere.
It is. It's happening in classrooms, in homes, online.
Everyone's trying to figure out what it all means for the future.
And that's exactly why we do these deep dives.
To get people thinking and talking about these issues.
It's not about just presenting the information.
Right. It's about sparking those conversations and exploring different perspectives.
And hopefully encouraging everyone to really think critically about what it all means.
We've touched on some big ideas.
Yeah, like how AI could personalize learning.
Free up teachers to do more creative things.
And even make complex skills like programming more accessible.
But then there are those challenges.
Like implementing it thoughtfully and dealing with pushback from people who are hesitant.
And the huge role leadership plays in all of this.
So now we want to turn it back to you, the listener.
What has really stood out to you from all of this?
What's stuck with you? What are you still wondering about? Maybe you're thinking about how parents and educators can best prepare kids for a future where AI is everywhere.
How can we make sure that human connection and creativity and critical thinking are still at the heart of learning?
Or maybe you're thinking about the bigger picture.
Like needing a national strategy.
And collaboration between different groups.
And what kind of leadership we need to guide us through all of this.
Whatever you're thinking about, we encourage you to keep exploring these ideas.
Talk to your friends, family, and colleagues.
Share what you've learned and what you're worried about.
This isn't just a conversation for experts.
It's a conversation for everyone.
Because the future of AI in education isn't set in stone.
It's something we're shaping right now through the choices we make, the actions we take, and the conversations we have.
That's what makes this such an exciting time to be involved in education.
A little daunting, maybe.
But exciting.
Definitely exciting. We're not just passengers on this journey.
Or the navigators.
Charting the course for the generations that come after us.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
we want to leave you with this one last thought.
What kind of learning experience do you want for yourself, for your children, for everyone?
What role will you play in shaping this AI-powered future of learning?
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into AI in education.
Keep those questions in mind as you continue exploring these ideas.
And let's keep the conversation going.